Hello and welcome to this, the second round of Virtual Touring Masters 6 from Suzuka. And here are the qualifying times. Adrian Holm on pole position narrowly from race 1 winner Toby Davis. Peter Henneberg with an excellent third position on the grid. Alongside him on that second row, John Munro with Tveit in 5th, Sarlo in 6th, Rivio in 7th, Butcher slightly disappointing 8th, Nyring will be pleased with his 9th spot, as will Reese Gardner in 10th, Juha Tuinainen 11th. First race of the season for Oscar Harwick there in 12th, while Brugman, Dobbing, Stenbeck and Ethan Bass round out that top 16. 36 cars are lined up on the grid then, and there was an incident in the mid-pack as Lennon got turned off the grid after a poor start, and Bradley Vanian unfortunately collected him, ending Lennon's race and badly affecting Vanian's. Through the first couple of turns, and Tuinainen gets turned by Reese Gardner, but thankfully everybody managed to avoid the stack-up without too much damage. The field snakes its way through the S's for the first time, and at the end of the first lap, Toby Davis had a big lead over Eric Tveit, and then the battling trio of Butcher, Monroe and Sarlo, Holm was back though, Rivio, Nyring and Harwick, as the rest of the field come streaming through. And here's why Holm, the pole sitter, was back in the pack. Ran in too deep at turn 1 and off at turn 2, and he is back to 7th spot after that first corner. The boys battling ahead of him. This is why Henneberg was no longer a part of this front battle. Butcher goes for a move down the inside. Sarlo tries to make it 3 wide into the exit of Casio Triangle and spins Henneberg around. Sarlo will receive a big points penalty post-race for that. Now on board with Beck, look in the rear view mirror. Mirvold with a beautiful 360 pirouette onto lap 2, and Butcher and Sarlo were still at it. Butcher going off, and in came Nyring to add insult to injury. Butcher now had to fight back. This was the end of Lee Palmer's race, as he got sideways into the start of the S's, and Jay Adji clipped the back of him. Łukasz Demelin was in a Mustang sandwich here, chasing Tim Straub, and Ockerley coming through to take his position in the top 30. Bass and Brugman now at it, hammer and tongs. Brugman with a classic over and under move at the Degner corners. Also on lap 4, this was the mistake that saw Eric Tveit go from 2nd to 4th, as Holm and Munro glided through. On lap 5 then, Davis leads with a big gap over 2nd place Adrian Holm. Davis on a 2-stop strategy on medium tyres, Holm on a 1-stop, as is Munro, Tveit on a no-stop strategy. Now on lap 6, Sarlo and Butcher were back at it once again after Butcher had come back through the 2 Alphas ahead of him. And although Butcher got through, this mistake saw Sarlo slip past once again on lap 7 in what was turning out to be a titanic duel between the 2 THR stablemates. And as seen from Julius Rivio's perspective, the battle raged on at the end of lap 7. Butcher seemingly making the definitive move, but then further round the lap, Sarlo was back in contention once again, and the extra power of the Holden Commodore saw him power past the Ford Sierra to retake that 5th position. Butcher was doing his darndest to get past Rasmus Sala, however. And Raivio himself was putting Butcher under huge pressure. That slide, indicative of the limits these drivers were finding. Well, on lap 9, Henneberg was fighting his way back through the field. In a battle here with Rhys Gardner, and Jeff Dobbing couldn't avoid contact. And around went Henneberg. And Ole Marius Mervold was in a big battle here, and he's making a habit of these beautiful 360 pirouettes. Just 2 positions dropped for Pinky. Lap 10, Davis exits the pits. The gap to home now at 12 seconds. While Brugman was involved in a big battle here with Mate Orban. Brugman was pushing hard, leaping over the curbs. Too hard. And that was the end of the Dutchman's race. Lap 13. Davis needs to pass Munro quickly to make his strategy work. Munro will be pitting at the end of this lap, but still crucial for the Englishman to get the Scot. And he did so with a minimum of fuss. Lap 13, home pits with a 7-second lead over Davis. On lap 15, Matthews was involved in a big battle here with Jimmy Broadbent. Both these drivers on a no-stop strategy. And Jay Adji came through and made light work of both of them on his one-stop strategy and his fresher tyres. Lap 18, Holm passes Eric Tveit for position 2. Tveit, remember, on a no-stop strategy. Holm on the one-stop strategy. Here is Toby Davis after his second pit stop, lap 20, and he's passing Eric Tveit also. 4-second spot. The gap is 9 seconds with 6 laps to go. Up to Adrian Holm. And the ailing Eric Tveit would also be passed by John Munro on the way up to Spoon Curve. Lap 24, and Davis was pushing very hard indeed. The gap was down to 4 seconds to the leader, but with just 2.5 laps to go, it seemed unlikely that he was going to pull off the win here. Adrian Holm was pushing very hard indeed also. Here he is in the penultimate lap, sliding the car through turns 1 and 2. While on the final lap, Tveit succumbed to the pressures of Jonas Raivio. Both of these cars on a no-stop strategy, and surprisingly Raivio was able to make up the deficit he lost at the start of the race and pass the Norwegian. Poor race for Eric Tveit, one of the championship favourites. But today was all about this guy, Adrian Holm. His strategy worked, his pace was good, and he took the win ahead of Toby Davis and John Munro to tie the championship lead. And here is confirmation of that win then for Adrian Holm. Jonas Raivio finished an encouraging 4th spot, while 5th, disappointing 5th, went to Eric Tveit. 6th spot to Butcher, a great 7th for Klaus Naering, while 8th was Rasmus Sala. Rounded out the top 10 was Hardwick and the excellent Mate Orban, while Gardner and Tuunainen were 11th and 12th. Oyala and Bass, Adji and Vickers, with Ockegant, Ferreira, Daniel Beck and Tim Straub scoring his first ever TPS point. On to the championship standings then after round 2, and it's Toby Davis and Adrian Holm neck and neck at the top of the standings, with Eric Tveit in 3rd spot. Joint 4th, Raivio and Munro, but it's a big gap back to Rasmus Salo. Mate Orban picking up the points, while Robert Wiesenmuller was absent with injury from Suzuka. Chris Butcher there in 9th, Ross McGregor in 10th, while Naring, Hardwick, Ayala, Adji and Brubham round out the top 15.